So welcome you all in the 25th lecture of embedded system. So in the last lecture we have talked about the real-time operating system, right? So what is the general structure of a real-time operating system, an embedded operating system or an standard operating system? So we have seen that for some of the tasks we can actually coexist standard operating system as well as your embedded operating system or a real-time operating system. So today we will study another concept of operating system, embedded operating system, which is also managed by operating system only. So that is called as multitasking. Okay, so what is multitasking? So we have studied about uh, scheduling. Okay, so we have a job to do, right? So we are dividing into basically the task, right? So we have different tasks to do. For example, in a personal computer we have different set of tasks. For example, we are listening music, simultaneously we are typing, right? We are doing we are web browsing also simultaneously. So in this case basically we have a lot of tasks which are running simultaneously, right? So the scheduler job was to schedule the task, right, depending on the deadline and the worst case execution time, right? And in embedded case, a deadline becomes at most important for the time constrained applications, right? So multitasking is also a similar concept, but before that we will study about task. What is a task? Task we have seen, right? So we have a certain task, right? So we can divide that into job, right? So so if you talk about the general structure of any operating system, so this has a hardware, right? This is a hardware and here it is a kernel, right? So then kernel will come which manages all the all the packages, right? So all the access, like which task will be executed and all, right? So here comes your operating system, right? So operating system will access the kernel, so through the kernel only hardware will be accessed, and here it comes the middleware and application, right? So applications, and here it comes your user. Okay, user can give any input, right? So your operating system has to finalize which task is to be scheduled or which task has to be which has to get the resources, right? So there is a slight difference between a task and process, but both are same in embedded system. Okay, both are same in embedded system. So there is one is task, one is process, and one is thread. So we will see first these terminologies which are most widely used in multitasking and multi-programming, that we will all these things we will see in detail. So first we will see what is actually a process, right? So as I told that in embedded system process and task is the same, right? So all multi-programming operating systems are built around the concept of a process. So what we do actually, suppose we have to do this particular task, right? So we divide into basically chunks of processes. Okay, so we can say that, or these are also called as multi-programs. Multi-programs. So why we are actually dividing the whole program into multi-programs? So that each program should get the access to the CPU, right? Because each program has to run in a CPU, right? So we need the access for executing that program, right? So we divide the whole into multi programs, and those are actually kind of a process that is known as a process, right? So what it does actually, if we define it, who does this? Obviously operating system does this, right? So operating system, what it does, it interleaves the execution of several processes So what is the meaning of interleaving the execution of several processes? So this was, let's suppose, the whole program I have divided into multi programs, or it is also known as process. So I want to give to each program the CPU for execution, right? So operating system, what it does, it interleaves means first this process will run, then next process will run. So let's say this is process 1, process 2, process 3, and so on, right? So each process are interleaved after some time, like after some time, this process will get the CPU, right? So operating system, it interleaves the execution of several process, okay, to maximize the CPU uses, right? To maximize the CPU uses. Is it clear? So why do we actually divide into multi programs and or processes? Okay. So also it is responsibility of OS to allocate CPU or resource, right? So operating system must allocate the resources such as memory or CPU to processes, each process, right? Okay. Also since multiple processes require the communication between each other, otherwise they need, some processes need the output of the previous process, right? So there should be a communication, right? So that also is the responsibility of OS to maintain, OS to support inter-process communication, right? Inter-process communication. So this is basically the job of a operating system, right? So operating system does scheduling, also it does the it ensures the communication and synchronization between process or task, right? And to allocate the resource also, right? So this is basically another task or job of a operating system. So now interleaving means, for example, you have a process, right? So you have a process 1 here. So at that time, when the process 1 is executing on the CPU, another process cannot run, right? If it is a uniprocessor, so process 2 can run once this is finished, right? Once this is finished. So here what is happening, process 2 can run when the process 1 is finished, right? So there is a slight difference between scheduler and the multi-programming concept. So what is the difference? So if you see here, scheduler decide which task to run or which process to run, right? So it could be, if scheduler says that after P1 P3 can come, or you can call it T1 also, T1 T2. So scheduler decide after T1 T2 will come, or T3 can also come, right? So this is decided by the scheduler, right? So let's say that scheduler decides that after T1 T2 has to run, so it has scheduled it, right? But still, scheduling does not mean that T2 has already got the resource or the CPU, right? So multi-programming decides that your T1 will be finishing, then only T2 can start, right? So T2 has to wait for completing the execution of T1, right? So in this case, what will happen? T1 T2 has to remain on the mercy of T1, like how much, after how much time the T1 will start, right? So this is the general concept in a multi-programming. But this way of CPU assignment is not fair, right? So for that, there is something called multitasking. So what multitasking meaning is? Multitasking means you assign the different task to CPU in a fair way, right? So although it can be divided into three category, that is cooperative multitasking, and second is preemptive multitasking, and third one is non-preemptive multitasking. Preemptive multitasking, right? So what is the difference between all these multitasking? So multitasking, you know that just the CPU assignment to each process, right? That is a job of a multitasking. Okay, so that is the job of a multitasking. So multi-programming and multitasking are almost similar. Like multi-programming means we divide the whole program into multi-programs, right? And another program or process can run once the previous process is finished. Now multitasking means it has to assign resources to the task, okay, and it is in the first case, when cooperative multitasking, it is the same as the traditional and old kind of multitasking technique. So in this basically in this technique, cooperative means it needs the cooperation of other processes, right? For example, as I told that T2 can run when the T1 will release the CPU, right? So it needs cooperation from the T1, then only T2 can run. And in this case, basically T2 could be so much longer. For example, let's say that this is your T1 process. T2 is a small process, and T3 can also be, let's say, that bigger process. Okay, so in this case, if you see that T1 execution time is much longer, right? So T2 will get the CPU or the resource after longer time, right? Although it needs a less time to get the CPU, but it will get after a lot of time, right? So this is the kind of multitasking is called as cooperative. Sorry. So this is the type of multitasking is called as, one second. Okay, so this is the type of multitasking is called as cooperative multitasking. Okay, so cooperation means it needs cooperation from the other task. Now second comes the preemptive type of multitasking. What is the preemptive type? So it provides preemption. So what will happen, let's say that the same case, the T1 is a longer process, T2 is a smaller process, and T3 is a also longer process. So in this case, what will happen, each task will get equal time. Each task will get equal time. So what will happen, let's say that I am assigning this much of time to complete a task. So after this much of time it is preempted, so this T1 task will be preempted and it will be on hold, and the CPU will go to the T2 task, right? And if it is completing within that time, it's fine, otherwise the resource will go to the T3 task, right? So this is the type of multitasking called as preemptive type of multitasking. Now last is non-preemptive type multitasking. Non-preemptive type multitasking. So what is this actually, non-preemptive type? So in a non-preemptive type multitasking, there will be no preemption. So in this case also, once the T1 will be finishing, then only T2 can start. Now you will see that cooperative and non-preemptives are same, right? What is the difference? You will be surprising that what will be the difference between cooperative and non-preemptive type multitasking. So these two type of multitasking are same, but there is a small difference. For example, in a cooperative multitasking, in a cooperative multitasking, when the CPU will go into a blocked state, that doesn't mean that it will release the CPU, right? So it may not release the CPU, release the CPU. Now what is the blocked state? Okay, that we will see in the coming slide. What is a blocked state, right? So blocked state, generally the CPU has a normal execution. Okay, any process can have a normal execution, right? So any task or process can have a normal execution, like some arithmetic operation and some simple normal execution, right? It can have some input output information, right? So what it has to do, suppose it needs some input output or data from some other location, what it has to do, the task has to wait, right? So for the incoming data, right? So task will go into a wait state or blocked state, right? So in this case CPU will the task is in blocked state and CPU is also blocked. So in this cooperative type of multitasking, although the task is blocked, okay, because it is in input output state, still that task may not release the CPU. But in case of non-preemptive type of multitasking, if the CPU is in blocked state, block means it is waiting for input output, right? The task is waiting for the input output. So in that case it releases the CPU for the other task. So that is the difference between cooperative type of multitasking and non-preemptive type of multitasking, right? So now, as I told that CPU or task can go into a different states. Okay, so what are the different states, right? So any process or a task can go into three broad states. One is a ready state. Ready means as I told that we have studied, right? So when do we schedule it? So let's say this is the arrival time of your task and release time, when the task will be released, when the task is ready, right? So even though task has arrived, it may not be ready for execution, right? So the task is in ready state. Once it is in ready state, it can go into the execute state, right? Execution state. So I will write it execute state, right? So when the task is ready, it can go to execution, right? And then when the task is asking for any input output, then it has to go to the wait state, right? It It has to go to wait state. So from ready it can go to wait state also, right? Suppose initially itself the task is ready, but it needs some input output, right? So and okay, so this is actually the task states. Now when the task is executing, right, when the task is executing, and if it is a preemptive type of multitasking, what will happen? The task needs a longer task needs CPU for a longer time, but in the case of preemptive multitasking, it has to preempt it, right? So even though the task was in execution state, it has to come back to either ready state or to the wait state, right? So this is a preemption, right? In the case of preemption, it can come back again to ready state or to the wait state, right? So this is all about the process or task, right? Now what is a thread? So thread is the independent task. Okay, independent task which can run simultaneously, Okay, so some tasks can run simultaneously, right? So if there is no interconnection, or we have multiple processors, then those tasks can run simultaneously. So those are called as thread or the concurrent processes. Is it clear? We also call it as concurrent processes. For example, you have a thermostat, and you can do two things, right? So either so thermostat can work, either it will monitor the temperature outside, right? Monitor temperature, right? Or it can work basically on some time of the day, right? So it will monitor the time, what time it is. For example, the daytime will be so much of hot, right? So we can keep some kind of threshold on the temperature, right? So time of the day, so we know that previously some information that between this time the temperature will be above some certain threshold, right? And third could be your user input, right? So user can giving keypad, right? So user can give any input from the keypad, so thermostat has to work for that input, right? So all these can be divided into different three tasks which can run independently, right? So if any of the task is executed, it has to thermostat has to work, right? For example, in the monitor temperature, you can write a short program. So do forever measure temperature. So the task is to just measure the temperature. If temperature is greater than certain threshold, okay, so then start furnace. Okay, else if temperature is greater than some threshold, plus let's say we allow some delta. Okay, if it is greater than that, stop furnace, because we have to allow little bit different threshold, or we can write threshold 1 or threshold 2 or threshold plus delta, then you stop the furnace, right? So this is an independent program, right, which monitors the just temperature of the furnace, right? And time of the day means you check the time, right? For example, do forever measure time. So just measure the clock timing. So if it is morning time 6 a.m., then you set the temperature, okay, or you can set threshold. Let's suppose threshold you can set it So threshold you can define it as, let's say, 72 Fahrenheit. Else if let's suppose it is 11 am, then you set the threshold as 60 degree Fahrenheit, because outside temperature is already high. Okay, so this is time of the day. Then third is the user input. So it will check the keypad. If raise temperature, so you increase the threshold. If you want to lower the temperature, you can decrease the threshold. So that is done by the user input, right? So these three programs can run simultaneously, right? So those are called as concurrent processes or concurrent tasks, right? So so now how a process is controlled, right? How a process is controlled. So for operating system, how it controls? So operating system manages a process control block. Process control block, PCB, right? So what is a process control block? It is a data structure to maintain. It is a data structure to maintain the states. Okay, maintain the states of task or process. Task or processes. Right. So it sees that how many tasks are in blocked state or waiting state or execution state. So it enables the multitasking, like which task has to be assigned for execution, right, depending on the type of multitasking. So what else this PCB contains? So your PCB, process control block, contains the process ID, which process is running, right? So it has information about each and every process. So it gives some ID to the processes. It consider the process priority also, right? So if some process or task is of higher priority, then it has to get CPU first, right? So process priority. Then it keeps the parent process. Parent process means suppose it needs output of other task, so it has to store that information also, what is the parent process, and child process also. Child process means some other process needs the output from this particular process, so that will be the child process for that. And address to next process, address to the next process, right? So PCB contains all these informations, right? So when the CPU can be assigned to any task, so there could be three conditions. So once the process is terminated, so that can be assigned, CPU can be assigned to other process, or your process contains some input output, right? So it is having normal execution plus some input output, so it will go in a wait state. So wait state means it does not need any CPU, so the CPU can be assigned to any other task, right? So another possibility is when the task is waiting for input output, and third is simply when there is a preemption, right? So it is releasing the CPU, then only another process can get the CPU, right? So what will happen? So we have a one state is ideal state, right? For example, the process is not ready. So before that, what will happen? Here the process is ready, as I told. So here the process has arrived, but it is not ready to be executed. So it is in the ideal state, right? So here at this state we are assigning the kernel. Kernel means it is getting ready and it will go in the multitasker, right? So multitasker will assign this process, right, depending on the type of multitasking it is using, right? So here the kernel is attached with the process, and then from ready it can go to the execution state, right? So it can go into execution state, and there is a wait state also. Right. So as I told that we have this information, TCP contains all this information, right? So if I go back, we saw TCP is containing task ID, so that is ranging from 0 to 255. Okay, so what kind of process ID it is, right? Okay, task ID we can call it as, or process ID, so PID or TID, anything can be called. Apart from that, apart from these information, it contains two more information, that is the program counter, which program is currently executing, stack pointer, and the status of flag. So that information also it contains, right? And address to the next process is done by using a pointer. So your pointer points the next instruction to be executed, right? So here what is happening, your tasks are getting into three state, right? So for example, you have a task T1, you have a task T2, you have a task T3. So how will you see that which task will be executed, right? So let's suppose that task T1 is running, so T2 has to run, so it has to use any kind of multitasking. It could be a cooperative type of multitasking, or it could be a preemptive type of multitasking, or it could be a non-preemptive type of multitasking. So this multitasking is enabled using context switching. There is something called context switching in the operating system. So what it does, it switches from one task to another task. So context switching is nothing but the switching of the CPU from one task to another task, right? Okay, so this is all about multitasking. Now we will see one more concept, that is a multiprocessing. So your multi-programming and multitasking were the software concept. However, this is a multiprocessing is a hardware concept. Hardware means, so it's very simple, right? So if we have more than one processors, so more than one cores, more than one processor cores, so we have multiple processor, so definitely we can run multiple tasks to a different process, right? For example, the T1 could go to the P1 processor 1, T2 can go to the processor 2, right? So depending on the number of cores we have, right? So P3, right? So T3 can go to P3. So simultaneously, if there are three processor, three tasks can be executed simultaneously, right? So that is called as multi-processing, right? So these multi-programming, multitasking, and which task has to assign to which core of the processor, so that all these things are managed by your operating system. Okay, so that is the major role of operating system in embedded system also, right? So so what will happen in this case, let's see that you have one task. Okay, so let's say that you have a one task which needs your input output case, right? And this is your a task which is a very, it takes very longer time for execution, right? And third one is also is a normal execution, right? So we have T1 task, we have T2 task, we have T3 task, right? For example, CPU is attached to T1 and it is a input output task, right? So it needs some information from the input output. So what will happen, this will go to the wait state more often, right? So and T2 is also much longer time, right? But T3 needs a very small time for the execution, and it is a normal execution, right? So what we can do, your operating system can schedule it. So if it is in wait state, immediately assign the CPU to the next state, right? Next state means next task, right? So let's say that this is your timing of CPU. Okay, so after this much of time, it has already gone to wait state, so the CPU can be assigned to this T2, and T2 will get the CPU for this much of timings, right? Because our it's a preemption based of multitasking, so that CPU can go to the T3, right? So in this way, our goal is to maximize the CPU utilization, right? So our goal is to maximize the CPU utilization, and this could be done using multiprogramming, multitasking, and multiprocessing, right? So if the operating system can manage all these three things like multiprogramming, multitasking, and multiprocessing, so it can manage properly all the cores efficiently, and properly uses the type of multitasking depending on the task. So if more number of tasks are input output, or it is a normal execution, or what is the maximum longer worst case execution time, right? So your operating system can maximize the CPU